I am Everett, and today, if anyone sees this, I'm going to be talking about, higher powers and, Christianity and all that good, stuff, and kind of my take on religion, and how I think, most Christians, should act. It might sound weird, because I'm a Christian, I go to church and everything, but I don't really like other Christians. They kind of irritate me. They're kind of self-righteous. Most of them, I'm not saying all of them, the town where I live in, they're pretty good, but the town I used to live in, the Christians and the Catholics are pretty self-righteous a-holes, I'm not gonna lie. And it also got me wondering, I believe in God, and I believe that, love is very important. It's very important for us to follow that, and I'm not going to say I'm perfect, There's been times where I've been self-righteous. There's been times where I just haven't been, a really good person at times. But the thing is, I'm trying to change, and I'm really just trying to, better myself. There's a lot of things that go on when it comes to other Christians. We can't hang out with this person because they have issues, or that person's, whatever they're struggling with. They're kind of judging them. But really, what you think about it is, I feel like if you really want people to come to church and you really want people to believe in God or whatever, you really have to focus on showing, that you love them, that you care for them. Like the story about, or the parable about the Good Samaritan. And I kind of feel like as Christians, that's how we are. There was a point in time to where, I would get dropped off for work, but due to certain reasons, I had to stay hours before work and hours after work. So you might as well say I basically got what a homeless experience was like, because I was constantly on the street, it seemed like, And I really realized how a lot of so-called Christians really treated a lot of these, homeless type people. You see people, you saw there, people with crucifixes and that kind of Christian stuff on their shirts, and it kind of struck me as odd one time. There was this black guy, and he was homeless, and he was crying, begging for food, and tears was pouring out his eyes, begging for food, and it hit me like all these people in these Jesus T-shirts and stuff like that kind of ignored him, and they're even saying, don't buy him food. He did it to himself. Well, I kind of think feeding the homeless is something Jesus Christ would do. I'm not saying too much. And one thing I realized in my experiences, with Christians, is that atheists are more Christian and they know the Bible better than Christians do. And it kind of makes you wonder a little bit. Like I said, I believe in Jesus. I believe in God. I try to go to church, once a week. But going to church isn't going to get you to heaven. You can go to church all you want. I've been actually missing the past couple of Sundays, and I feel like I'm closer to God just from reading the Bible, praying, and just trying to be nice and treat people the way Jesus would treat people. And it is difficult at times. Becoming a Christian and kind of following this lifestyle is really the hardest thing I ever had to do. It's very difficult, but we have to. I really think as Christians too, we have to step up and say, we see these people like the Westboro Baptist Church. You go a lot of politicians who give Christianity a bad name, like the chap who wants to stone gay people. And he's actually wanted to sign a bill to stone gay people. That's some Old Testament, medieval, bullshit. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to quit cussing too. But it really is. It's very strange, that, you would. Oh, my cat wants to get in the video. Hey, Fuzzy Penguin, say hello. Yeah, I got a cat, Fuzzy Penguin. But it's it's we have to stand up and say these people don't represent Christ, and they're really kind of ass backwards. And I'm not saying that I agree with gay marriage. Because I don't agree with it, but at the same time, we shouldn't really go stoning people and try to, in this day and age, I mean, I thought it was a joke, 2014 wanting to stone people, and it kind of reminds me of, my grandfather was Catholic, and a lot of my relatives went to what they call the Brethren. Get back, Fuzzy. And Fuzzy really trying to get in the video. He has some opinions. He was Catholic, and he was a very mean and hateful bastard. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that about my grandfather, but I mean, he really was. He was mean. Like he's the kind of person who would cuss. And I'm talking about me being a little kid. He'd tell me I'm going to hell, and I committed a mortal sin because I took the Eucharist without going to confession. I never liked confession to begin with. I don't really see the point in it. Why should I go tell some priest my sins? It's none of his business. It's between me and God. That's one reason I kind of like the Catholic Church, and I'm still kind of debating on where I'm going because there's so many denominations. And I've been a Christian for about maybe a year and a half, coming up on 2 years, and I'm still kind of like, even though I had experience beforehand, let's say with different denominations, different churches, and everything. Like I never really became saved until I moved to Itasca, personally. Because like I said, I got bullied and beat up by the Jesus kids in West. Yeah, and it's kind of, it's weird, man. I got beat up by so-called Christians. Heavily bullied by them. And it mostly because I liked horror films, and I got the stuff I drew. I drew art, but that's kind of I guess it's kind of more a darker tone. They didn't like that, and I kind of hung out with Outcast and stuff. But there's this thing with Christian people that is some of them aren't very. I think a lot of Christians aren't really Christian. The more I experienced it, like I said. Mostly atheists that I met have been really kind, compassionate, and Christ-like, and it's puzzling. It really is to me. It's very fascinating to me that someone who is an atheist acts like Jesus more than a Christian does. And there's this old guy. This old guy I shoot the BS with. He's a good old man. And, he has a beard and long hair and stuff, and there was a certain church in town that told him, he couldn't come unless he had a suit. It's kind of funny because their church is held in a warehouse. Kind of bizarre, you gotta have a suit in a barn. But, I didn't see Jesus wearing no suits, I mean, to be honest with you, it doesn't matter how you dress. It matters if you're there mentally and spiritually, and you want to accept Christ as your Savior. Now, I'm not saying that it's completely. I'm not saying that you shouldn't dress nice or whatever. But I mean, I don't really dress up to go to church. I wear raggedy clothes. I don't because it's what I'm comfortable in. And I really found closeness with God when I pray. When I pray lately, it kind of feels like I'm having a conversation instead of just, talking to, space or whatever. I actually feel like I'm having a conversation. I feel like I'm becoming closer to Christ. But, after I hear the way how some Christians talked about me, and how, especially in the past, how some Christians and Catholics really kind of judged me, and it's kind of like, wow. It kind of makes me wonder, yeah, it does inspire me to want to change so I can prove them wrong, but then again, it kind of makes me want to say, screw you, like for real. And I'm not gonna lie, there's times where I thought about just bringing it up to these people, like, you're kind of wrong, kind of to be kind of judgmental, but then again, at the same time, I've been judgmental before, I've been very judgmental before, mostly due to, I hate using the excuse, that's the way it was back then, or that's, it's a different time. But I have said things to certain people, and I really regret it because hey, I was a butt. I was really an a-hole, and it makes you think a little bit. You know, because I mean, you really can't judge somebody unless if you've been in their shoes. You know, and until you've been in their shoes, you never really understand too much. And like I said, I always try to, because like I never fit in, and I've been attacked by religious people, you know, my entire life. It seems like, you know, like I said, getting beat up. Like I remember this kid broke my trumpet. Like I was in band, and this so-called Jesus kid or this Jesus freak, this like threw me into the locker, like bruised my face up and broke my trumpet. Yeah, that's something that Jesus Christ would do, asshole. But I got my revenge though. I can't say what I did. I don't know the statute of limitations, but but let's just say I pulled a prank and I got even. Yeah, the Bible does say an eye for an eye, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. But it makes you think though. Like some of these people, it really turns you away from going to church, and it's kind of like, I know you're supposed to go to church, but at the same time, it's like I feel closer with God just by reading my Bible at home and praying to Him than I ever did going to a church. You know, and I always never really felt comfortable in church either. I mean, I'm happiest at church. I used to be like completely happy at church, but I'm kind of moving away to where I just feel more comfortable reading the Bible at home and praying more, and you know, that kind of thing. One experience that I really had that kept me away from Christianity for the longest time, because I don't know if you say I've been running from Christ, but I haven't been the kind of Christian I need to be. I'll definitely say that. You know, and I'll be the first one to admit it. I'm not perfect. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't have to be perfect. You know, I'm weak, but I have a strong God. And if we take a look at the New Testament, which is what we're supposed to live by, we're supposed to show love and compassion and help those in need. Well, there was this one time, and this is like, I don't know if it's just a Catholic thing or a Christian thing, because I mean, I remember one time I said I don't really think the Catholic Church really is biblical, and that PO'd a lot of people, including my family. But there was this girl, and she had some problems. You know, I think she may have been pregnant. You know, I don't know, but you know, she was kind of a sex addict. She was always kind of going around sleeping with a lot of the guys at the school. No one really talked to her. Everyone kind of made fun of her and called her a slut. You know, she did kind of have a new boyfriend every week, and some girl went through her phone and found like a crap ton of porn, and they kind of made fun of her. So you know, she was a porn addict and probably a sex addict, and they really treated her bad. You know, and it's kind of like so-called Christian girls treating her bad, and some of the Christian guys too. It's kind of, you know, and I don't think she ever really knew her dad too much, and she kind of had problems. And a lot of these Christian guys did try to take advantage of that, and it's kind of like, you're taking advantage of a broken person. You know what I mean? She doesn't have a father figure in her life. She's, you know, she's struggling with porn, which is a very tough, you know, struggle for a lot of people. And you really shouldn't be judging her too much, because I mean, we all sin, you know, and it took a lot of courage, because she actually went to this like FCA or something like that, you know, with the football players, the athletes, Like I said, I never really fit in when it came to that particular school I was at. I never really fit in. So FCA, I think that's like Christian athletes or something. I don't know. It's been a while. But they were really kind of mean and hazing her and stuff, and it was kind of like, really. And then there's some guy who had drug problems, you know, and that's another big problem for a lot of people. You know, drugs. He, like I said, I think he did some meth or something, and his teeth were cut and kind of rotten, and they were, you know, the Christians, you know, the so-called Christians and the so-called devoted Catholics were putting, you know, Colgate and all kinds of really petty, screwed up mess in his locker. And I remember, and they even because this, you gotta remember, YouTube was popular at the time, and they were beating them up in the axe shop with broomsticks or axe handles, or I don't know what like some type of wooden tool thing. It's kind of like a stick. And he was just, you know, they were beating the hell out of him. Poor guys. And it kind of makes you wonder, and it turned me away from Christianity for a long time. You know, the fact that they they beat this kid up. They made fun of this girl who was, had problems. I mean, yeah, she was promiscuous, but I mean, she definitely, it took a lot of courage to come for help for what she was struggling with. And I don't really think it was nice of those so-called Christians to treat her like that. You know what I mean? It's kind of messed up. And then, go beat a guy up, and and really, one thing that really kind of took me away from Christianity, and it kind of, and I think about this. I think about this bloke every now and then. There was a friend of mine in junior high, and he may have been gay. Fuck, I don't know. There I go cussing again. I'm trying to stop. I really am trying to stop cussing. And I don't know if he was gay or not. I mean, he was going to tell me. I said, it's none of my business. I don't know. As long as you know, I like women. You like whatever you like. As long as you don't come on to me, I don't care. And a lot of the Christian guys, threatened to do some pretty messed up stuff to him. They threatened violence against him. I think they even beat him up at one time. Like, I remember I had to go into the locker room with them just to make sure that nothing bad happened to this kid. And, it was like, wow. These so-called Christians are beating the hell out of gay people and, slutty girls and people who have drug problems. These broken people who really need Jesus. They're turning them away from Jesus. I think some of them even became atheists. I don't know, I was on my way to being an atheist at that point. I remember seeing these people, and I remember even looking at the Bible and kind of not really understanding the New Testament and the Old Testament, and kind of saying, well, the Old Testament's like an apple, and the New Testament's like a bloody orange. They're completely different. God is kind of, when it says fear God in the Old Testament, you better fear Him, or else a plague or something's going to happen. That sort of thing. But now I realize, Jesus fulfilled the law. He freed us from the Old Testament kind of life. So I kind of understand that now. And like I said, they really broke this person down. I know I don't talk to him anymore. We lost contact a long time ago. But before we stopped talking, and hanging out and stuff, he even said, I don't agree with religion. I don't like it. I don't like them forcing it down my throat. I don't like having to be scared to walk in the bathroom. I don't like having to be scared. And it's another issue with bullying, too. And I don't really want to I guess I'm going on my little soapboxes. Today, and hopefully I'm not boring y'all. And hopefully you're watching this, because, this is kind of, like, I want to hear some feedback on this. Because, I'm a Christian, I'm still fairly new, and I'm still learning stuff, But, the whole thing with bullying, because even when I was getting beat up, there's an old saying of boys will be boys, and all that stuff. I mean, and I understand that's true, and you have to fight back. But once you start threatening, I mean, this is criminal behavior they're doing, like threatening to tie a rope around his neck and drive him around the park. Like, come on, that's some like 1950s like civil rights stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it kind of makes you wonder about these, a lot of Christians and Christianity in general. I know. Of a church in West, again, like, I'm not bashing my hometown, but I'm just saying there's a lot of mean, hateful, freaking people there. And there's this lady. I don't know if she was I don't think she was a minister, but she was somehow involved in the church. And, she would come up and say some stuff, And they were talking about something, and they told her son, or like her son or somebody, I don't remember, to leave because they didn't want to hear their opinion. And of course she left, and I think she's at a different church now. I never really talked to her. It kind of struck me like church is telling people to leave just for asking a question or having a certain struggle in their life. I mean, if it's a non-criminal struggle and it's not hurting anybody there, I don't understand, why you would turn someone away from Christ. It's very, and it's kind of the situation, and this is why I'm really trying to better myself, because you never know. You could be the only Jesus that someone sees. You never know. Someone might not read the Bible that much. And when you talk to somebody, or and you tell them about Jesus, you tell them about the real Jesus Christ and the love of Jesus Christ, and the compassion, and you really just kind of have that heart-to-heart with them in your testimony, really brings it around. I didn't become a Christian until I went to Itasca, and I took this math class with this this girl who was a Christian. I kind of had a crush on her. That's why we I really loved and cared for this girl. That's why I kind of started talking to her, and then I really started learning about Jesus, and I kind of fell in love with Jesus, and it made me think about God and Christ in a different way. And that's kind of like, well, there's a Central, I think it's like Central Baptist over here. It's not that far. I can, and I was really struggling at that point. I'm not going to get into what problems I had, but I was in really, really bad shape. I was super depressed. I was suicidal. I was, you think I'm skinny now. Look how skinny I was. I was ribs, basically. I looked horrible, and they had like some type of, I don't know what it's called. I think revival. I don't know. I kind of think of like an open mic night where people come up and they kind of talk about stuff they're struggling with. And it was very emotional for everybody. Everyone was crying and stuff. And I don't know how I got up there. And I really believe, I believe the Bible. I believe Jesus is real. Like I said, I really believe in the Bible. I believe He's real. And I went up there and I kind of spilled my guts, and I broke down in tears and started bawling my eyes out. And because used to a church, the way it was either, the Catholic Church of, you're going to hell, or you can't sit with us. You can go to church, you can go to our church, but you can't sit with us. You have to sit in the back. That's how my experience was at old churches. But when I came to this church, they let me sit with them. They really talked to me. They baptized me. They said they loved me, and I never really heard "I love you" that much, and that's something that I don't hear very often. And it really means a lot, because when I really felt like Jesus didn't love me. I thought I was going to hell, and I was really scared and paranoid. And just having someone wrap you in their arms and say, I love you, I care about you, it kind of melted my heart a little bit, and it really, I get emotional to this day about it. It really makes me think about, maybe God had me experience all these a-hole people so that I have a better understanding of what He's really like and what Jesus is really like. Because you can't really turn people away for their issues, and it's and it really meant a lot to me that they're that kind, and it's a big. It was a big deal to me getting baptized. It's probably the greatest day of my life. It's definitely very important to me, and it's something that I really cherish and hold deep in my heart. It's just that with all these people, it just kind of breaks my heart that they turn people away from Christ. Like back when I was working, there was this girl in Waco who had kids, and she said the Church of the Open Door kicked her out, and said that she, they didn't want her around the children because she had a baby outside of wedlock, and she wasn't welcome in the church. She had to sit in the back and all that kind of. And to me, that ain't right. That's not biblical. You know what I mean? That's not biblical to me, and I don't know. It kind of makes me wonder about churches and stuff, and I always hear, you have to find the church, you have to go to church. And I do agree with that. I mean, you need to have a good church to go, but I really think, your own personal time with Jesus is what's important. Because to be honest with you, I know a lot of pastors who are full of shit. And I'll come out and tell them. And I even got in trouble, you can't, that's a pastor, that's a priest, you can't tell them that. Well, just because, he has a little white collar, or he wears a suit, I can't say something? No, I'm going to say something, and I think, we really have to speak out. And like I said, I could be wrong on a lot of this stuff because, I'm new. I will admit I'm fairly new to being a Christian, and I'm actually now just trying to, live my life like the New Testament, and it's really hard. It's really hard, and I don't know, and even I think people have this idea that Christians, and even when I tell people I'm a Christian, they kind of go, oh. Like people I don't know, oh, and you kind of tell, it kind of puts a barrier there, and they don't really want to talk to you as much. I'd done Bible studies at Starbucks many times. It seems like every time I do one at Starbucks, I offend somebody. you know, and I don't try to, you know. I mean, I was just, you know, talking about, you know, the book. What was it? The book of Matthew, the book of Mark, or Philip? It was Philippians. I don't remember, but it was one of those where I was talking about love thy neighbor, and how you should not, and how you should seek a wife instead of lust. You know, I didn't bash no gays. I didn't hate, you know, on any type of group or anything, but these people. And look, I wasn't preaching to, you know, I wasn't forcing my beliefs on these people. It was just me and my friends just kind of talking and having a conversation about God, having a cup of coffee. And apparently, I guess he called the police because a policeman walked up, stood by us, and he poured sugar in his drink for about 2 minutes straight listening to us. And then I heard him go to the table and say, there's nothing I can do. They're not forcing their beliefs on you. They're talking to themselves. You know, you kind of wasted my time calling me down here. You know? And you're like, well, I think it's wrong. They're talking about that, but you know, this. It's like, well, don't listen. You know, and I think that's. I'm not going to apologize for my religious beliefs. And that's another thing. Some people say there's religion and there's following Jesus. You know, I think saying that you're a follower of Jesus could just be you're too scared to say you're a Christian because you don't want to be associated with those a-hole people. And you know, I kind of feel that way sometimes. You know, I kind of feel like maybe I should say I'm a follower of Jesus instead of using the word Christian because when I say Christian, most people think of mean, hateful people. You know, and that's not what a Christian is. That's not what Jesus is. It's about love. It's about compassion. And I really learned what love was and how to take care of, you know, people. And that's something that, you know, I really just want to get involved and like help in some way with someone. And that's really what I do. Like, like I really believe that if it wasn't for, you know, that girl in my math class, I'd be dead. Because I mean, I was in a pretty rough spot, you know, and I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. You know, I'm not going to say what I was doing, but I was definitely in a bad spot. I was definitely not healthy. I was depressed, and I was at times suicidal, but I got counseling for that. You know, I sought counsel for my depression and for my thoughts, you know, suicidal thoughts. I got help. And I think that's another thing is, you know, sometimes, you know, that could be a future video if anybody, I know this video is running pretty long, you know, psychology, you know, sometimes counseling, you know, and talking to someone helps. You know, I mean, it really helped me, you know. I'm not crazy or anything, and that's the thing is you're not crazy if you need to talk to someone about something. It's just that sometimes you're going through some heavy stuff, you know. But I really believe if it wasn't for her, I'd be dead because I probably would have committed suicide or I would have never known Jesus and probably would have just died. And, you know, I don't know. I was in a pretty bad spot. And like I said, I'm doing all right now. I mean, I still have my struggles, you know, like everybody does. But, you know, I found Jesus Christ, and I really love and care for Jesus Christ, you know, and I'm just trying to live like him because at the end of the day, you know, we really can't be hateful. I mean, you can't really, there's an old song I really love that says, a tongue can accuse and carry bad news, gossip is cheap and it's low, but unless you made no mistakes in your life, be careful of the stones that you throw. And that really rings true. You shouldn't throw stones. And I'm guilty of throwing stones myself. I'm not going to lie. And I'm trying to change. And I really work to apologize to those people and say, hey, I was an idiot. That's not Christ. You know, that was my human heart. That was the flesh. That wasn't Christ. And I apologize. And I really think as Christians, we really need to love people and care about people and not be so hateful. Anyways, this video is like going on 28 minutes, and I really apologize for that. You know, I've been kind of rambling. If you listen to this, you know, please leave a comment and let you know. Because, like I said, I'm kind of a new Christian. You know, I've only been a Christian for about 2 years, and I really feel like I don't really know. Like I have a lot of questions about, you know, Christianity, and a lot of questions about, you know, God and stuff in general. So I would really like to hear what y'all would like to think or like to say, you know. But yeah, this video is about 29 minutes. That's bloody ridiculous. But anyways, thanks for the watch, and have a great day.